The sacred moon circle of Valdris Pack had never felt smaller to Lyrelai as she stood at its center, her head bowed while hundreds of wolves surrounded her in human form. The annual harvest moon ritual was meant to be a celebration, wolves finding their mates, bonds being blessed, futures being sealed. For her, it had become a public execution of her dignity. "Step forward, Omega," Elder Thaddeus commanded, his voice carrying the weight of centuries-old tradition. The silver-bearded man stood on the raised platform of ancient stones, the ceremonial staff in his hand gleaming under the full moon's light. Lyrelli forced her feet to move. Her threadbare dress, the only one she owned that wasn't completely patched, rustled against her legs. She'd tried to make herself presentable, had even dared to weave wildflowers into her auburn hair, but she could feel them wilting under the weight of contemptuous stares. 23 years old, Elder Thaddeus announced, unmated, unclaimed, the last of age to be presented. Whispers swept through the crowd like wind through dead leaves. Lyrelai caught fragments, worthless, cursed bloodline, waste of time. From her position at the platform's edge, Lyrelai could see the other young wolves who'd been presented tonight. Each had found their match, their proud families embracing them, new bonds celebrated with howls of joy. She stood alone, her parents dead these past 10 years, no family to pretend they cared. "Who will claim this, Omega?" Elder Thaddeus called out, following the ritual words despite everyone knowing the answer. Silence. Then, from somewhere in the crowd, a bark of laughter. "Claim her? She can't even shift properly." It was Garrett, one of the beta warriors. Last full moon, she only managed to grow a tail before collapsing. The crowd's laughter hit Lyrelai like physical blows. Her cheeks burned, but she kept her eyes fixed on the ground. It was true. Her wolf was different somehow, never quite managing the full transformation that came so easily to others. "Perhaps she's not really one of us," suggested Celeste, the beta female who'd made Lyrelai's life miserable since childhood. "Maybe her mother lay with a human." "Don't speak of my mother," Lyrelai whispered, but her voice was lost in the rising tide of mockery. "What's that, little mouse?" Garrett stepped forward from the crowd. "Did the Omega actually speak? How dare you address your betters without permission?" Elder Thaddeus struck his staff against the stone. "Enough. If no one claims her, then—" "I'll claim her," Garrett announced with a cruel smile. "For sport." The crowd went quiet, sensing the shift from mockery to something darker. "What say you, Omega?" Garrett stalked closer. "Shall I claim you for an hour's entertainment? Show the pack what happens when defective blood tries to stand among wolves?" "That's not what the claiming ritual is for," Lyrelai managed, her voice shaking. "She speaks again," Garrett snarled. "The Omega dares to lecture me on pack law?" His hand shot out, grabbing her hair and yanking her head back. The wildflowers scattered across the stone, crushed under his boots. "You should be grateful anyone notices you at all." "Brother, perhaps—" Another beta, Marcus, stepped forward hesitantly. "What? You want her?" Garrett laughed, shoving Lyrelai so hard she stumbled and fell to her knees. "Be my guest." "Though I doubt you could stomach it. Her parents died of shame, leaving us stuck with their mistake." The words cut deeper than any claw. Lyrelai felt tears threatening, but she wouldn't give them the satisfaction. "Stand up," Elder Thaddeus commanded. "The ritual must be completed." As Lyrelai struggled to her feet, a young voice rose from the crowd. "Mama, why is everyone being so mean to the lady?" Through her tears, Lyrelai saw a small girl, perhaps 6 years old, tugging on her mother's dress. "Hush, Astrid," the mother said quickly. "She's an Omega. It's complicated." "But she looks sad," the child persisted. "Because that's what the defective deserve," Celeste answered loudly. To be reminded of their place. Perhaps if we remind her enough, she'll do us all a favor and disappear entirely. More murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. The ritual asks a final time, Elder Thaddeus intoned. Will anyone claim this Omega under the harvest moon's blessing? Who would curse themselves with such a burden? Someone called out. Then by the ancient laws, Elder Thaddeus began, raising his staff. This Omega is declared unclaimed and— Insult her again and you'll pay. The roar shattered the night like thunder, so powerful that several wolves instinctively dropped to their knees. The crowd parted as a figure emerged from the shadows, tall, broader than even Garrett, moving with controlled power. As he stepped into the moon's light, gasps rippled through the gathering. The stranger wore dark leather and armor bearing no pack insignia. But it was his eyes that made even the bravest warriors step back. They burned alpha red, not the common red of ordinary alphas, but the deep crimson that marked royal blood. Who dares? Elder Thaddeus began, but his words died as the stranger's gaze fixed on him. I asked a simple question. The alpha's voice was deadly quiet. Who else wishes to insult this woman? Garrett, foolish with pride, stepped forward. And who are you to— The alpha moved faster than sight. One moment he stood at the circle's edge, the next his hand was around Garrett's throat, lifting the beta warrior off his feet. I am Calith Darkmoon, he said, and the name sent shockwaves through the crowd. Alpha King of the Northern Territories, and I'm claiming her. Garrett's feet dangled uselessly as the Alpha King held him aloft. The beta's face was turning purple, his hands clawing futilely at the iron grip. Please, Elder Thaddeus stammered. Your Majesty, we didn't know. We had no word of your coming. Release him, Celeste shrieked, then immediately cowered as those burning eyes turned to her. Calith tilted his head, studying her with detached interest. You were saying something about this Omega disappearing. Continue. I'm fascinated. Silence stretched taut. Celeste pressed herself back into the crowd. He dropped Garrett, who collapsed gasping on the stone. Your Majesty, Elder Thaddeus tried again. If we had known you were attending, you would have hidden your cruelty better? Calith's voice could have frozen flame. Made your torture more palatable? He walked past the elder, his focus entirely on Lyrelai. She stood frozen, unable to process what was happening. The Alpha King. Here. Defending her. Calith stopped 3 feet from her, his expression softening. Are you hurt? Lyrelai's mouth opened, but no sound emerged. This close, she could feel his power like heat from a forge. I asked you a question, he said, gentler but still commanding. I'm not hurt, Your Majesty. Liar. The word was soft. I can smell blood. Your knees. She glanced down, realizing her fall had scraped her knees. Such a small hurt. She hadn't noticed. Your Majesty. Marcus spoke carefully. The Omega cannot fully shift. Surely you don't mean to actually claim. Calith turned his head slightly. Did I stutter? No, Your Majesty, but— Then why are you still talking? Marcus fell silent. They call you defective, Calith mused, turning back to Lyrelai. Yet you stood here, enduring their hatred with dignity. Tell me your name. Lyrelai, she whispered. Lyrelai, he repeated. I am going to ask you something, and I need your honest answer. Do you accept my claim? The crowd held its breath. I don't understand, Lyrelai said. You don't know me. I can't shift completely. I have no family, no standing. That's not what I asked. Do you accept my claim? Your Majesty, Elder Thaddeus interjected. The law requires me to inform you that this Omega comes with nothing. Elder, Calith's tone turned lethal. If you interrupt again, I'll demonstrate why the southern packs still whisper my name. The lady and I are having a conversation." "Why?" Lyra Lee asked, surprising herself with boldness. "Why would you claim me?" "I don't want any wolf," he said simply. "I want you. But I know you're brave. I saw you help that elder who dropped his walking stick earlier, though he spat at your feet. I know your wolf isn't defective. She's just different." "How could you know?" "Because I've been watching these borderlands for weeks, investigating pack corruption. I've seen how you survive, how you still show mercy. And if I refuse, then I leave, and you continue your ritual." His expression darkened. "Though, if anyone harms you after this, I'll return." The threat hung in the air. Lyrelei looked around at faces she'd known her whole life. Not one held kindness. If she stayed, her life would become unbearable. "I accept," she said. Relief flashed in Calith's eyes. He moved closer, close enough that she could smell pine and winter storms. "Then I claim you under this harvest moon," he said formally. "Lyralee is now under the protection of the Dark Moon dynasty." He brushed away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. The touch sent electricity through her, and her wolf, her different strange wolf, suddenly surged forward with unfamiliar power. "Your Majesty," she gasped, doubling over as energy coursed through her veins. "It's beginning," he murmured, catching her. "Your true nature." Her bones began to ache differently than her failed transformations. Through the pain, she heard gasps. "Her eyes," someone whispered, "they're turning silver." Pain crashed through Lyrelei like a tide, but Calith's arms remained steady. Her vision sharpened beyond anything she'd experienced. She could hear every heartbeat, smell fear rolling off the crowd. "Breathe," Calith murmured. "Don't fight it." "It hurts," she gasped. "You're strong enough." Through her supernatural hearing, she caught whispers spreading. "Silver eyes, the old bloodlines. If she's one of them, then we've been—" "Silence," Calith commanded. His attention returned to Lyrelei. "Look at me." She raised her head, meeting his gaze. She saw recognition there. He knew. Somehow, he'd known. "How?" she whispered. "You're sent," he said quietly. "Underneath everything they've done to you, there's something ancient. You're Moonborn, the first seen in over a century." The word sent shockwaves through the crowd. Elder Thaddeus staggered. "That's not possible," he protested. "The Moonborn bloodline died out." "The records lie," Calith cut him off. "After the territory wars, Moonborn were seen as too powerful. So they were hunted, their children forbidden from learning their nature." He stood, lifting Lyrelei with him. But some survived, hidden in plain sight. The Moonborn don't shift like regular wolves. They become something between, keeping the strength of both. "If that's true," Celeste said shakily, "why couldn't she?" "Because you broke her before she could bloom. Every insult, every beating, you weren't just torturing an Omega, you were crippling a sacred bloodline." Lyrelei's eyes widened. "My parents knew?" "Look at their graves. You'll find the hidden symbols." Another wave of power surged through her. This time, she didn't fight. She let it reshape her. "Show them," Calith commanded softly. Instinct guided her. She reached for her wolf but let both natures merge. The change was smooth as breathing. Gasps rose as Lyrelei transformed, not into a wolf, but something more magnificent. She stood 7 feet tall, her body covered in silver-white fur that held its own light. Her face remained partially human, beautiful and terrible. Claws like polished moonstone extended from fingers that could still grasp. "Magnificent," Calith breathed. "Monster!" Garrett had climbed to his feet. The old stories say Moonborn went mad with power. His words cut off as Lyrelai moved faster than Alpha eyes could track. Her clawed hand wrapped around his throat. "Careful," she said, her voice multi-layered. "I'm newly awakened. My control isn't perfect." "Lyrelai," Calith called. "He's not worth it." She looked at him, understanding passing between them. She dropped Garrett. "The ritual is complete," Calith announced. "My mate has been claimed." "Does anyone challenge?" Silence. "Then we leave." He held out his hand. The shift back was easier than any transformation she'd attempted. Her hair now held silver luminescence. Her eyes retained hints of that ethereal color. "My things," she started. "You need nothing from here." Little Astrid broke free from her mother, running forward. "Is the lady an angel now?" Lyrelai knelt. "No, sweetheart. I'm someone who remembered who she was meant to be." "Will you come back?" "She will," Calith answered. "As Queen of the Northern Territories, she'll return to ensure all packs treat their omegas with respect." "Queen?" The word escaped dozens of throats. Calith smiled sharply. "The Northern Territories haven't had a queen in 3 generations. Time that changed. Guards materialized from the shadows. They'd been there all along." As they walked toward the waiting carriage, Lyrelai looked back once at the pack that had tormented her. "Regrets?" Calith asked. "No, but I have questions." "Ask." "You knew what I was." "How?" "My grandmother was Moonborn. She taught me to recognize the signs, moonlight and ancient magic." "You came specifically for me?" "I came investigating corruption. Finding you was unexpected. When I caught your scent weeks ago, I thought I was imagining it." The carriage lurched to a stop. Through the window, Lyrelai saw shapes emerging, dozens of wolves with sickly green eyes. "Ferals," Calith growled. "Someone knew our route." "What are ferals?" "Wolves who've lost their humanity." "Stay in the carriage." He shifted into his massive black wolf form. The guards formed a protective circle, but there were 30 ferals at least. Lyrelai watched in horror as guards began falling. A feral shattered the carriage window, its diseased eyes locking onto her. Something inside her snapped. Moonlit power exploded outward, passing through the carriage walls. Every feral it touched screamed and fell, the green fading from their eyes. Silence followed. "Lyrelai." Calith rushed to the carriage. "Tired?" she mumbled. "Did I kill them?" "No, you cured them. That should be impossible." "Moonborn," she said weakly. "You said we were special." He gathered her into his arms. "Sleep." "We're an hour from the border castle." As darkness claimed her, she heard him speaking to his guards. "Send word immediately, and find out who knew our route. Someone set this trap deliberately." Lyrelai woke in the border castle to find Calith sitting beside her bed, still in bloodied clothes, dark circles under his burning gaze. "You didn't sleep," she observed. "The ferals weren't random. Someone orchestrated that attack." She sat up, noticing she'd been changed into a soft nightgown. "Who?" "Lady Seraphina, the healer. She's trustworthy." His jaw tightened. "She found something. Old healing patterns." "Lyrelai, someone's been poisoning you with diluted wolfsbane for years." "What?" "Just enough to suppress your nature. Since childhood." Memories flooded back. The weekly tonic Elder Thaddeus insisted orphans take. The elder knew. He knew what you were, and kept you suppressed. A knock interrupted. "Your Majesty, Lord Raziel requests entrance." "Come in." The man who entered was Calith's opposite, golden where Calith was dark, amber eyes sparkling with mischief. "My king." Raziel bowed theatrically, then looked at Lyrelai. And the lady who cured 30 ferals. The castle's buzzing. Lord Raziel at your service, though friends call me Raz. Raziel is my beta, Caliph explained. Raz, meet Liralai. Charmed. But we have problems. The Council of Alphas is convening. They're questioning your right to claim a moonborn without approval. Since when do I need approval? Since that mate could shift power across all territories. They're terrified. And Lady Morgana is already at the capital, claiming prior rights. Morgana has no rights, Caliph said curtly. Who's Lady Morgana? Lyrali asked. Eastern Alpha's daughter, expected to be queen, Raz supplied. She's spreading rumors you bewitched Kale. Maybe she's right. Don't. Caliph took her hands. Don't doubt us. He led her to a tower library, walls covered with ancient texts. My grandmother's collection. Everything about Moonborn is here. One silver-bound tome called to her. When she opened it, blank pages revealed flowing script. Welcome, sister. You have come home. It only reveals itself to Moonborn, Caliph explained. Know your legacy before we face the council. Pain lanced through her skull. Visions flooded her mind. Fire, the capital burning, Morgana standing over Caliph's body with a silver blade. Liralai. Caliph caught her as she convulsed. Vision, she gasped. Morgana. The door burst open. A bloodied guard stumbled in. Your Majesty. Lady Morgana's forces have taken the main gate. She demands the Moonborn for trial. Elder Thaddeus of Valdris was found murdered. She claims proof the Moonborn killed him. I didn't kill anyone, Lyralai said, shaking. We know. This is Morgana's move. An explosion rocked the castle. Through the window, they saw wolves fighting below. She has the servants we sent ahead as hostages, the guard panted. 30 wolves. 1 hour to surrender the Moonborn or they die. This is my fault? No. Caliph's tone was absolute. You go out there, you're dead. But the hostages will be saved. Raz, our numbers? 40 fighters. We're outnumbered 2 to 1. Caliph smiled coldly. Perfect odds. He kissed Lyrali fiercely. Stay here. Lock the door. She tried to obey, but watching through the window as Caliph fought surrounded, as Raziel fell and struggled to rise before recovering, she saw Morgana approaching with a silver blade, the same from her vision. No! She jumped through the window, transforming midair. She landed with stone-cracking force, celestial radiance emanating from her form. The Moonborn form in daylight shouldn't be possible, Morgana breathed. Release the hostages. Leave. Now. The Omega gives orders? Morgana laughed. You killed Thaddeus. His blood was in your cabin with these. She held up Lirale's herb pouch. Poisonous herbs. Lies, Caliph snarled. The council will investigate. Until then, she must be contained. Lyrale's power surged outward, but instead of curing, it revealed truth. Every wolf became transparent, showing their nature. A dozen of Morgana's forces pulsed with the green of feral infection. Infected but not turned, Raziel gasped, having regained his footing. How? Because I control them. Morgana's mask cracked. Feral blood in their wine. They obey me completely. I've been preparing this for months. That's forbidden. One of her own wolves backed away. I do what's necessary. Moonborn are too dangerous. She lunged with the blade. Lyralai caught her wrist, squeezing until it fell. You want to see what Moonborn can do? I could tear your mind apart. Morgana's eyes widened in terror. But I won't. Because I'm not the monster you imagine. She turned to the infected. Choose. Freedom or slavery. 11 knelt. Lirale's light cured them. No. Morgana scrambled for the blade, but Caliph's boot crushed her hand. Chain her, he commanded. She'll face judgment. As Morgana was dragged away, a cloaked figure emerged. Elder Thaddeus, alive but wounded. "The report of my death was fabricated," he rasped. "Morgana left me for dead, but I survived." He knelt before Lyrelai. "Forgive me. I poisoned you for years thinking I protected the pack. I was a coward." "Why confess now?" "Because Morgana showed me real monsters. The packs need you." The journey to the capital took 2 days of Lyrale learning control, while visions plagued her, always showing death at the capital. "Whose death?" Caliph asked. "Mine, or yours. Sometimes both." "That won't happen." "You can't know. I know you. You showed Morgana mercy when you could have killed her." The capital was gleaming white stone and crystal spires, but the crowds were divided, some curious, others hostile. Whispers followed them. The throne room held the Council of Alphas, 7 powerful wolves. The eldest, white-haired and ancient, spoke first. "Caliph Darkmoon, you claimed a mate without approval, harboring a dangerous moonborn." "I claim my mate." "Since when do I need permission?" "Since she could destroy us all?" A scarred female alpha snarled. "Moonborn nearly enslaved our ancestors." "One corrupted pair," Lyrale stepped forward. "You judge me for crimes from before my grandmother's birth?" "You dare speak without permission," the scarred alpha demanded. "I dare exist without permission. That's the real problem." "She's right," the youngest alpha on the council interrupted. "We're punishing potential, not actions." Elder Thaddeus entered. "I come to testify for her and reveal hidden truths." He produced an ancient scroll. The moonborn pair's corruption wasn't natural but induced, poisoned by jealous alphas. Before that, they brought unprecedented peace. Shocked gasps echoed. "Even so," the eldest alpha said slowly, "what prevents history repeating?" "Me," Caliph said. "I'm her mate. If she corrupts, I'll know. I'll stop her." "You'd kill your mate?" the youngest alpha asked skeptically. "I'd save her. But it won't happen. She won't be isolated and poisoned like before." "Pretty words," the scarred alpha said dismissively. "Then test me," Lyrelai offered. Silence. "You fear my power? Test it." "The trial of souls?" The eldest leaned forward. "The council enters your mind, sees your true nature. Many are left broken. If I pass, acceptance without question. When you fail, immediate execution." "Lyrelai, no. They'll never accept me otherwise." She faced the council. "I accept." The council chamber transformed, symbols glowing as alphas surrounded Lyrelai. "We'll see everything," the eldest warned. "Any darkness, we'll find it." "I understand." "You cannot interfere," he told Caliph. "Any attempt means both die." The 7 minds invaded hers like ice through her skull. She dropped to her knees as they rifled through memories. Every humiliation, every beating, every dark wish. She wanted them dead, the scarred alpha thought triumphantly. "Everyone has that capacity," the youngest defended. She never acted. They dug deeper, finding her rage but also every kindness she'd shown despite suffering. Unusual. Most would turn bitter. Some did. "I chose not to," Lyrelai managed. They pushed into unexplored places, finding her wolf, not weak, but bound. And beyond, pure luminescence that made them recoil. The source, original moonborn power uncorrupted. It blazed protectively through the chamber. "That power didn't attack," the scarred alpha gasped. "Just protected." "True moonborn nature," the eldest said with awe. "Not conquest but preservation." He stood formally. "Lyrelai is found pure. More. She's what they were meant to be." "During the trial, we saw visions," the scarred alpha admitted. darkness coming that requires Moonborn to fight. Raziel burst in. Morgana escaped! And hundreds of organized ferals approach. Lyrelai's vision showed Morgana consumed by ancient darkness. She's a puppet now. Something old that waited for Moonborn to nearly die out. Through the windows, they saw hundreds of ferals cresting the hills, Morgana at their center. I can cure dozens, not hundreds, Lyrelai said. It would kill me, unless... She opened the silver book, pages flying to an entry. Lunar consecration, cleanse corruption from entire territory. Requires bonded mates to complete their bond publicly, channeling combined power differently than direct healing. Complete? The youngest alpha asked. Lyrelai blushed. Mate, in the ritual circle. While under attack? Raziel asked. It requires absolute trust, Calith understood. Testing the bond between alphas and people. The ferals reached the gates. The council will protect you, the eldest declared. In the circle, Calith pulled Lyrelai close. I claimed you because when I saw you standing alone, refusing to break, I knew you were mine. And you were mine, she whispered. The doors shattered. Ferals met the council's protective wall. As the couple joined in the ancient way, power rose, his red merging with her silver, exploding outward in waves. The ritual allowed them to channel their combined essence differently than direct healing, spreading it across the territory without killing them. Each wave pushed ferals back, corruption burning away. Morgana appeared, twisted and inhuman. Stop them. Too late. At their peak, their combined power novaed across the territory. Every feral screamed in release as corruption fled. Morgana collapsed, darkness dissipating. When light faded, hundreds of freed wolves knelt to them both. Queen of Moonlight, someone whispered. She saved us. We all did, Lyrelai corrected. Council, pack, mates united. That's what Moonborn were meant to be. Guardians, not rulers. The eldest smiled. Let it be recorded. Lyrelai Moonborn is queen, the line restored as intended. The darkness? The youngest asked. Gone for now. Lyrelai's eyes grew distant. But it returns in different forms. That's why Moonborn exist. You'll be ready? The scarred alpha asked, newfound respect in her tone. We'll be ready, Calith corrected, pulling Lyrelai close. Always. 6 months later, little Astrid ran through palace gardens laughing with other pups. Your Majesty, look! Her eyes flashed silver momentarily, flowers blooming where she stepped. Beautiful, Lyrelai said, exchanging glances with Calith. Another early Moonborn. More reports arrive. Raziel joined them, children manifesting abilities everywhere. The line returns. Good, Calith said. We'll need them. For darkness? For the future, Lyrelai corrected, hand on her slightly rounded stomach where new life grew, the first Moonborn born free and loved. Whatever comes, we face it as one. She looked at her mate, her king, her other half, then at the flourishing kingdom around them. They had built something new from the ashes of the old, not just survival, but hope.